Now, let me move on here. In Hebrews, let's begin with Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. Now, of the thing which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens. I got to ask you guys a question. Okay? Verse 1 says, we have such a high priest. High priest. Let me take you to verse 7. This is what Christianity is teaching, okay? Let's go back here real quick. And verse 7 says, on the screen, if you go there real quick, thank you. Says, for if the first covenant have been faultless, then should no place will have been for a second. So immediately everybody says the first covenant, right? So you're thinking the law. Okay? But I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to show you that's not what he's talking about. Okay, actually verse 8 tells you the whole key. But remember that the context of the chapter is that we have such a high priest. So let me ask you a question. If verse 1 is in reference to the high priesthood, then how come verse 7, that Christianity is applying it to the Torah? The whole context of chapter 5 on is setting up Yeshua as the high priest in the order of Melkisedek. Surely he's not going to change now and talk about one verse being the law. We're going to explain that. The whole context about the book of Hebrews is about Yom Kippur, and the whole context of chapter 8 is about the high priest. Let's continue. A minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which Yahweh pitched and not men. In other words, it's talking about the heavenly tabernacle, not the earthly tabernacle. Listen to this. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifice, so it is necessary that this man have something to offer. Listen to this. For if he, Yeshua, were on earth, he should not be a priest. Why not? Because guess what? Only the sons of Aaron can officiate in the holy place. That's why he established him. But if you take away the temple, they can officiate on Yom Kippur in the Holy of Holies. Then you only have the original copy in the heavenlies, and only Yeshua can be there. Does that make sense to you? Now, it says, for he who were on earth, he should not be a priest. Seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the Torah, who serve an example and shadow of heavenly things. Listen to the language. The earthly thing, the earthly tabernacle, serve as an example and a shadow of heavenly things. So that's implying to me that there was a high priest in the heavenly realm and a tabernacle in the heavenly realm. So when Moses saw the copy, he copied from what he saw in the heavens. Do you understand what I mean? And it says, as Moses was warned of Elohim when he was about to make the tabernacle, for see, saith he, that you make all things according to the pattern shown to you in the mount. Verse 6, but now he has ordained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is a mediator of a better covenant, which was established on better promises. What is the better covenant? A new law or a better priesthood? What is the better covenant? The new law, like church has been preaching because they don't understand the Hebrew context of Hebrews? Or a new priesthood, or a priesthood that already existed before the foundations of the earth, that was originally trying to instituted by Yahweh through Adam. He failed. Men failed. Israel failed. So therefore he established the Levites to do that role until he will come back. He came and he took the role of what? And the order of Melkisedek, not on the earth, but on the heavenly realm. Okay? That's why the temple had to be destroyed. If the temple was still standing, then guess what? The guys that are supposed to be worshiping in the temple and officiating in the temple according to the Torah, and God's words cannot change. Therefore, if God's words cannot change and the temple will be reestablished, guess who's supposed to officiate in the temple? The sons of Aaron. But if there's no temple, doesn't mean that their priesthood is done away with. They're still alive. It's just there's no temple for them to do the role. Now you're in the heavenly realm. And because you're talking about the heavenly tabernacle, who's the only priest who can be there? Surely not the Aaronic priesthood. They're on earth. And he's in the heavenly realm. You see, Yahweh perfected everything to the letter. It's amazing. All the things that had come together. If we learn this letter verse by verse, then we understand the truth about this. Unfortunately, we have been handed down so many traditions and so much replacement theology. By the way, let me explain to you what replacement theology is. For some of you that don't know. Replacement theology is saying that God has done away with Israel. Poof, he threw them out. And now he has a new church. And that the church is the new Israel, spiritual Israel. I will challenge you, and I will pay you all the money that I have. And by the way, I don't have that much money. But I'll give you all the money that I have in my bank account. If you find one verse that says that the church is now spiritual Israel, find me one verse that says that. If you find one verse in the scriptures and in the Torah and the prophets and the renewed covenant, Brit Hadashah, that says that now the church is spiritual Israel, I quit what I'm doing and I'll follow you. Sounds challenging, but it's the truth. We have to understand truth. So let me recap here so I can get you to come back for the last session here. Okay, we only got one more show on this series of teachings. Now, the Aaronic priesthood was to officiate on the earth. We know that Yeshua was ordained as the high priest in the order of Melkisedek, who came from the heavenly tabernacle. So what's interesting is that if we understand that the law is not done away with, it's not talking about the law. If you go back to Hebrews there, it tells you it has to be with the priesthood. For if he were on earth, he would not be a priest, seeing that they are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve as an example. You see what I mean? So the priesthood being changed. The high priesthood. Not the regular Levites. Not all the Levites can be in the Holy of Holies. Okay, and this is the whole premise of the teaching, is to show you that the high priesthood was put on hold until Messiah will come back. Remember that Hebrews chapter 7 says that if he were on earth, he would not be a priest. Chapter 8, I'm sorry. If he was on the earth, he would not be a priest. Why? Because he already established that the sons of Aaron will be priests unto him. But if you destroy the temple, then guess what? You have to have intercession. You have to have a mediator. He will do it from the heavenly realm by a priest who is preceding all priests on the earth, who was from everlasting, from of all, in the order of Melchizedek, the king of Salem, and the king of righteousness.